Good evening. This is Michael Burke, Superintendent of the Rhinebeck School District, bringing you our May opportunity here for the Bond Referendum live stream. And I'm joined today by two wonderful people who are going to give you insight into the ins and outs exactly of what we're proposing with the Bond Referendum. We have Architect and Assistant Vice President of Land Associates, Danielle Farrell, and Principal and Landscape Architect, Robert Kernan of the LA Group. They're here to outline the lighting and some of the water drainage situations that we have here on our Bond Referendum. So very excited to have Danielle and Bob with us today. Without further ado, we will get started here. Let me bring it up on the screen. So as you can see here, our bond referendum, very close. We have time is of the essence and is moving forward. We're very excited here. The bond vote is only coming up here on October 1st. It is only 134 days away. So it's very excited. Please make sure here, watch this at your leisure on our YouTube channel and our Instagram page. And of course, you can always send questions to bond@rhinebeck.org. Send those in. We'll get you those answers as quickly as possible. So without further ado, I will turn this over to Danielle and we'll get started here with some more details for you about the upcoming project. Go ahead, Danielle. Thank you.
Great. Thank you and good evening. Thank you again for inviting us to join you on your live stream and chat about this exciting project. As you mentioned, Lan has been working with the district and our site consultants at the LA Group to design this new athletic complex. And for tonight's episode, we wanted to focus on a few topics that come up quite often when new facilities are being designed, and that's lighting and drainage. So often when synthetic turfs are fields are being considered, they're often paired with athletic field lighting. With lighting, you can extend field availability beyond daylight hours, creating additional practice and game opportunities for modified JV and varsity teams. This is especially important during the fall and the early spring months when daylighting is limited and everyone is competing for that same field time. It also allows you to shift activities later in the day during periods of extreme heat like this week, improving student safety and comfort. And beyond the athletics, the fields can also support a variety of school and community activities, including performances by the marching band, cheerleading competitions, drama events, and youth recreation programs. Lighting also creates an opportunity for special community events, such as Friday night lights under, night games under the lights and commencement ceremonies. And these things all strengthen school spirit and community engagement. In addition, the district can also have opportunities to generate supplemental revenue through rental of the facilities.
Yeah, exactly as Danielle said, this really provides us flexibility for our physical education program, flexibility for our sports program, practices, as well as games, and of course, increased opportunity for our youth and those special night events, which are so fantastic to have here under the lights here in Rhinebeck.
So one of the common concerns with field lighting is how the modern systems compare to older sports lighting installations. And believe me, we get it. Nobody wants lighting shining into their dining room table or even worse, through their toddler's bedroom window at night. Today's LED athletic lighting systems are dramatically different from the older metal halide systems many people remember. Modern systems are specifically engineered to direct the light precisely where it's needed on the playing field while minimizing what we call spill onto the surrounding areas. These systems significantly reduce glare, light trespass, and sky glow, helping to lessen the impact on the neighboring properties and the night sky. Many modern systems are also designed to comply with dark sky principles, which is reasonable lighting standards. Features such as focus optics and dimming controls, scheduling systems, and warmer color temperatures all help operate these systems more efficiently and responsibly than ever before. And the goal is to provide safety and visibility for athletes and spectators, but also be respectful to the surrounding neighborhood environments.
Yeah, we really had a very good experience working with Land Associates and the LA Group. We've been able to receive feedback from the community and take that into our design. You'll see some of the changes that we made. But lighting is of course, a major issue and a really fair concern for our surrounding neighbors. So we want to make sure to be considerate of them as well. So some great technology here that Danielle explained.
So this is the rendering on the slide that reflects the original schematic layout that's been presented to date as part of this project. A major focus throughout the schematic design process has been understanding and minimizing the impact of the field lighting and what impact it could have on the neighboring residents. To evaluate this, we as design professionals worked with Musco Lighting, who's a leader in athletic lighting, to perform photometric light studies. These studies are an important tool used to measure how light is distributed across the field, but also into the surrounding areas. So on the field itself, the study helps verify that the lighting is uniform and safe for the athletes and the officials and the spectators by reducing any dark spots and visibility issues. But equally as important, the study also evaluates light spill and light trespass beyond the property line. And this allows us to measure potential impact to the adjacent homes and make adjustments to improve the performance and reduce neighborhood impacts while we still can during design.
Yes, which we're in the middle of design now, so we've been able to make some of those adjustments. And again, Danielle involvement integral with really hearing what some of the residents have told us and some of the changes that we've made.
Yeah, so with the original layout that Danielle just discussed, that you saw here previously, we did reach out to Musco Lighting, and we did have them develop a photometrics plan. This is something we do for every project, just again, so we understand the impacts to the field and our neighbors as well. And with the layout configuration that we had, there was some light spillage off our property to the north, and what the results were with the field where it is originally about 10 foot off the property line is we had a maximum foot candle level of about 4.34 foot candles on the adjacent property right at the property line. As designers, we don't like that. We don't think that's great, but this was the initial readings that we got back from the lighting vendor. And what we really try to do is provide 0 foot candles and spillage onto your property, being good neighbors. That's what we really try to achieve. But as you can see here from the slide and the information, we didn't achieve it. So we went back to the drawing board to see what we could do to mitigate this and make it better.
And it just reinforces what Bob has said, how this has been a multi-year study. It is not something that we proposed, that the Board of Education and the administration proposed right away. We've looked at several things all across, from flooding to lighting to options, to put forth what we feel is the best option here for Rhinebeck.
So working with what we already laid out with the existing design, the first step into trying to make light better is to move the field further away from the neighbors. And so instead of 10 feet, as you see in the red, we moved the field 50 feet away from the property line to see what the impact would be from the lighting levels once we ran it from there. The reason why we didn't do this originally is because it's better to have a little more space between the athletic events and the walking events for drainage and utilities and just spatial considerations. However, we did have a little bit of room to play. It does create some hardships in the design, but it's nothing that we can overcome. And we feel there's a lot better value moving it away from our neighbors and providing better light levels.
Yeah, the 50 feet is really a nice barrier. We've looked at many other schools. Lan and the LA group have worked with multiple schools, and it's been a lot tighter than that. But we wanted to really have that buffer, and this is a design that we're very comfortable with that they've been able to put forth.
And so what we found when we did move the field to 50 feet is that we're able to decrease the foot candles to 0.13 foot candles at the property line, which is significantly, and as Danielle did the math here, 33% lower amount of light than it was previously during the initial design. So this just shows how we're working with the design. We get the feedback. It's not a one and done thing. One and done study. Once we get the results, we weren't happy with them. We moved the field. Now we're much more happy with the results of what we're finding here. And again, I just want to note that this is all preliminary. Nothing is finalized. We're still making tweaks, and we'll continue to make tweaks along the process.
Yeah, and something that's very important is, of course, our athletic director, Joe Siglia, has always been great about talking, communicating with residents, making sure that we want to have these events, these night events, but to make sure if there was a change or something, or there was something going on, that we were able to let our community know and keep them in the loop. So it is not something that's going to have an every week night event, but we want to have those opportunities for those special events for our student athletes and our coaches and our staff and our community.
So that's a perfect segue into this next slide. In addition to the physical lighting design, we know that the district are committed to managing how the facility is used in the evening to be respectful to the neighborhood residents. So hours of operation for weekday and week end events can be established with the neighborhood considerations in mind, and you can limit the number of night games and special events throughout the year. Sound systems, announcements, and music can be monitored and controlled in accordance with the local noise ordinance and the district policies. And this will help reduce the risk of hearing "We Are the Champions" being played at full volume at 12 o'clock p.m. The lighting systems themselves also include advanced controls that allow for dimming or partial field operation when full lighting isn't necessary for practices or smaller events. For larger evening events, security staff will be present to assist with crowd management and help ensure orderly arrival and departure from the site. And teams and spectators, of course, will be encouraged to leave the property after events to minimize prolonged activity in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and there's a couple additions here that I think are critical. We're looking to have the same amount of events. So we're not going to be adding a tremendous amount of events, but what we're going to have is more flexibility. One of the questions that comes up is why 2 fields and not 1? There have been some local schools that we've met with. When you have just 1 field, every sport wants to get on there. If that happens, it ends up that some sport is actually practicing very late at night. Late at night means more lights. More lights means more opportunities to disrupt the community. So we really want to save those night events for the great, wonderful events that we have, not be using them at practice. The goal of having the 2 fields is flexibility to get our student athletes into practice and home, studying and keeping their rest up as we head into the winter months and throughout the year.
And I think actually a couple of the things that on that last slide is you can see in those images that the surrounding area is dark.
Yes.
And the light really truly does focus onto the track or the field or wherever it's supposed to go versus trespassing into the rest. I think that these type of images are very telling in that.
Thanks, Danielle. It's a great point.
So some of the questions that Danielle said before always come up in our projects are not just the lighting, but site drainage and how we deal with drainage off the synthetic turf fields and just general construction. Any of our designs and projects, actually any project across New York State that disturbs more than 1 acre, you're required to follow New York State DEC protocol and develop a SWIP plan, which is a stormwater pollution prevention plan, which helps the agencies, basically we have to submit for the permit and they review our documents to make sure that we're in compliance, and actually helps, and that document helps protect surrounding properties and areas downstream of us from flooding and just from detrimental impacts downhill. So we really just have to control and manage our site. And that's the agency that has jurisdiction over that. So we'll develop a SWIP plan, and this isn't just for the final and at the final end of the construction, but actually during the whole construction process, there are sediment erosion control measures that are put in place, like silt fence, temporary drainage basins, and what that's supposed to do is to manage the water, control it, and treat it before we release it back into the environment. So it's a very stringent set of guidelines that we need to follow, and we do that for each of our projects, and I'm well versed at that.
And these are some of the questions that came up from the community that they want to make sure that we have incorporated, that the architects have looked at, because of course there is a disruption when you move soil around, you put a field in, but these have been covered, and these prevention plans really allow us to move forward and feel confident in the project.
So continuing with that, with the stormwater and the drainage, so the previous slide showed what we do to construction. This is more of how we're going to handle and capture all the runoff associated with the synthetic turf. So for those people who don't know, synthetic turf is a very porous system. The water drains vertically through the field, through stone layers, and then eventually gets caught into underdrain pipes that are typically spaced 10 to 15 feet on center throughout the entire field. So it's a vertical drainage system, not like a natural turf where a lot of the water goes and sheets off and goes vertical a little bit. So these arrows kind of direct where the water flows, but from an underground scenario and below the synthetic turf surface. So both the track and all the impervious areas will be captured either through the field or area drains and catch basins throughout the site and be diverted to the bottom right-hand area where it says stormwater pond. And there is where we control the water. basically we study the site in the existing condition, and we have to analyze how much water is leaving the site at various design points. And then the proposed condition has to meet or be below those volumes and rates of what the water from what the water is discharged from our site. So it's very controlled, so that being having to comply with the flow rates meeting existing conditions makes sure confirms that we will not negatively impact people downstream from us. So if it's working today, it'll work tomorrow. We will be making things better, but we will not making them any worse.
Yeah, two things I want to point out there. If you notice, the water, of course, is underground, not going onto the field. So that's the drainage system that would head under that second field into the stormwater pond. And as you can notice that Bob has put on here, it shows that it's going away from the houses and the property. So it's a drainage system that pulls the water there towards that stormwater pond, which is not near any residents or houses.
So these images are images that were the presentation boards, which show the rendering of the site plan, as well as a conceptual rendering for the future field house that will have team rooms, concession stand, public restrooms, and storage for the district.
Yeah, and if you look at this, it's very exciting. So many small things you'll notice. Upgrades, of course, for the baseball field, the softball field, in terms of dugouts, the wall as well. You can see that wonderful sort of centerpiece there, the field house, which will be concession stand, storage, locker room, restrooms, all things that we've heard from the community, and just a great design here and opportunity, as well as that circular sort of driveway for drop-off, pickup, and handicap access as well.
These are more photos of the both the exterior and the interior, showing the public restrooms, the team rooms and concession stand, as well as the grandstand bleachers with a press box.
Yeah, all great things that are necessary that we've heard from. We have our wonderful booster club, of course, which runs the concessions, the stands, everything that we have here. Our PTSA, RNSF have all been part of supporting us here on our many events that we have here at Rhinebeck. To have these upgrades would just be a great centerpiece for the entire district. And those will be, I think that will be it. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write us at the email that I have up here as well, which is bond@rhinebeck.org. It has been great working with LAN and the LA group with Bob and Danielle. They've been fantastic answering our questions, going each and every step here all the way through. We, again, are going to have our vote on Thursday, October 1st, which can come very quickly, only 134 days away. So please go back to the YouTube channel. We will post this on Instagram as well. If you want to look back at some of the other videos, live streams that we have, they are available on our Rhinebeck Live YouTube page. Our next live stream, again, because June, of course, is so great with graduations, moving up ceremonies. We're not going to have one in the summer, but we will have Bob and Daniel will be coming down in the fall in September to have an in-person discussion for people who want to come up and ask questions. But our next Bond Referendum live stream will be August 26, so a little bit ways away. But I want to thank Danielle and Bob for joining us here. Thank you for joining us as well. It is a great time here in Rhinebeck. We appreciate your support for the budget last night, and we're hoping to move forward with a centerpiece. That would be a centerpiece for our students, for our coaches, our staff, and our entire community here in Rhinebeck on October 1st. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.